Welcome to this tutorial video. This video is an introduction to the domain, employment and occupation of the Indigenous Navigators Climate Change module. In this video, we introduce the concepts covered in this domain and also the relevant human rights instruments. Both surveys look at the right to work and equality in employment and occupations. In particular, whether states consider and take action to address actual and foreseeable harms to Indigenous peoples' right to engage in their traditional occupations in the context of climate change. Climate change or climate change-related measures and activities can impact Indigenous peoples' ability to access their traditional territories or how they can practice traditional activities on the land. Changing conditions of the land due to climate change or climate change-related measures may mean that traditional activities are restricted or changed. For example, drought may impact traditional farming practices. Climate disasters, such as floods, or climate change-related measures, such as energy production projects, may lead to permanent or temporary migration away from traditional lands. This will also impact the ability to practice traditional activities. Article 20 of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, or UNDRIP, outlines that Indigenous peoples' self-determination and autonomy is reliant on being secure in the enjoyment of their own means of subsistence and their freedom to engage in their traditional activities. These rights are reinforced by binding human rights standards, including the protection of cultural rights in Article 27 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or the ICCPR. Also, the Human Rights Committee's General Comment 23, which recognizes that traditional activities of Indigenous peoples, such as fishing and hunting, are cultural manifestations that require the state to adopt legal measures for their protection. And the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, or ICESCA, which in Article 6 guarantees the right to gain one's living by work which one freely chooses. The National Survey assesses whether national policies actively address climate-related harms on Indigenous peoples' traditional occupations. The Community Survey then assesses whether climate change impacts or measures have impacted the performance of traditional occupations of Indigenous communities, and then whether any of these impacts on livelihoods has led to migration from traditional lands.